So, we had our program, our 3-hour, 4-hour program yesterday, basically. And what's really cool is you start to discover what happens on an energy level, but at a physical level and in mental and all that as well. It's like when you have emotions with somebody, or you get angry with somebody, or you get upset with somebody, or you get jealous of somebody, or any of the emotions that we have that we don't express, we're going to push them down into the body, and then it has to go somewhere. Where it's going to go is hurting the self. Whether it comes out in physical hurting or it comes out in emotionally hurting, but we're going to put that energy somewhere. And then it also comes out in taking or caretaking of others. So, like even in husband-wife relationships, when we have withholds, come on over, sweetie, you're totally fine. And this is something that's really important, especially when you're younger, before you get married or before you go into a relationship. It's good to have these pieces. It's good to understand what's really happening, because the inability to communicate also comes from places inside where you don't feel worthy, or you don't feel loved, or you feel that who you are is not enough, or that there's something wrong with you. And we learn that through our conclusions that we draw by observing, witnessing, and experiencing our parents. And even in the womb, this energy starts to present. So let's just go back and go into the womb. So whatever your parent, whatever your mother's holding, even the energy of your father, you're feeling that energy. There is no other reference but the self. There's nothing in you that's going, oh, that's my mom feeling that way. No. Whatever she's feeling, you're taking it in. You're drinking it in as though you're just taking on all that energy. So by the time you really come into the world and you enter into this amazing place, you've already got energies that are messing with you, that aren't yours. So you start learning right away that crying is not okay, being hungry is not okay, not liking dirty diapers is not okay, because, people get irritated, or they don't have the ability to be constantly in a state of oneness and at peace, that this is what's happening. So, it's like you start learning that your thoughts, your feelings, your needs, your wants, everything is not okay. Once that happens, even in relationship, you won't show up and speak the deepest truth. Okay? And, where was I? Yeah. So there's all these little withholds. Now every withhold we have creates like a little energetic barrier. We can literally track it as we're watching people's energy fields. So every withhold, every place where you don't tell the truth, or are incapable of telling the truth, and you have a feeling and a resentment, then there's a little energy field that starts to develop. And over time, that energy will become like this massive wall of energy. And that's when we have these big blowouts, or we have these situations where you can no longer come together, it's over. Even with children and parents, it's like all the withholds, or the blasting, or sometimes parents can blast their kids or whatever, but there's always these places of withholding, until we reach a point where, kids either just leave, they'll never deal with it. And there's always be like tension between the parents. So all of these places inside also propel us. It's the same thing. If we can't tell the truth and we see somebody, or we have a partner, whether it's a friend or a beloved or family or whatever, then we start caretaking them, because we have all these pent up feelings, resentments and angers and hurt feelings and feelings that just we can't deal with. So these things get buried. Once it gets buried, now we gotta protect them from our feelings, so we do this overly caretaking of everybody. Pretty soon it starts to be with everybody, because if you can't speak the truth to your family, your beloved, your children, your friends, you certainly aren't going to be telling people your truth of what you experience at work or any situation. So it's that overly protecting, over caretaking of others that's coming from these disconnected places, these wounded places inside. So unraveling all that means you got to go in and start to face where you have these feelings, where you feel the resentments, the envies, the jealousies, feeling betrayed, feeling abandoned, feeling unloved, feeling unwanted. You know, all these negative feelings have to be dealt with. Okay, now again, we've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. There's influences, interferences contributing drastically to your experience. And sometimes you get caught in the feeling and you can't move beyond it. Okay? So just like yesterday, someone was experiencing a particular feeling, like, wasn't it physical or something on the chest or something? There was two things, remember? Mm-hmm. And you can't, it's like when you're in it, when you're experiencing it, that's all you can deal with, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't remember exactly what it was, but it had to do with, one of them was like an emotion, one of them was like a choking thing.
Yeah, it was
like something, like literally being choked, right? Okay, and then what was the other one? It was something in the chest or something? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was like a...
Oh, pressure.
Yeah.
Like pressure, like being squeezed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so during the process, what happens is when things get triggered and you start to experience something physical, whether it's emotional or even feels like a physical sensation, that's the only thing you are aware of. You can't go any further. Here's the thing. That energy wasn't even that person's, it was actually, both things were entities. And some of them, one of them was like a past life thing, and well, actually maybe both of them. But these entities are affecting that person's and everybody's feelings. So if these things don't get released and removed, nothing's going to change. Even when you die, here's the thing, when I remember looking at it, this had come from past life and had been tracking this person for a long time. And here it is again. Well, guess what? This body dies, reincarnate, that energy is still going to be tracking and coming after this person because there's all these issues or feelings and resentments or whatever that they want to cause harm. So this is very typical. I see it almost in every single human being that I do clearings on. There's usually somewhere where somebody's gotten angry with them and want be vindictive or want to torture or want to punish or want revenge or something. And then that energy becomes focused on that person and they can't let it go. So this is a good thing to think about in your life. If you've ever gotten really upset with somebody and you feel that feeling where you just want to hurt them or you want revenge and you can't let it go, a part of you is going to stay focused on them your entire life at some level. And then when you die and leave the body, you're still going to, if it was really intense, you're still going to be after that person. What a waste of your time and energy. Okay? Because here you are wanting to evolve as a spiritual being. You cannot evolve when your energy is focused on somebody else. So the unraveling has many, many, many components, and it has to do with the entities. It has to do with thought forms and beliefs, because you also pull in from the collective consciousness, you pull in other people's thought forms and their beliefs. It's an actual energy. It doesn't look like entity in the body. So if we're tracking the entity aspect, for me personally, I actually literally see eyes looking at me. I also can tell by the energy, that frequency of an entity, and there's a difference between an entity and the actual thought forms that we pick up. The thought forms for me personally, how they appear, they have more of a misty kind of thing. They don't attach, but they're still in the energy field and you're still feeling them, buying into it. Thinking it's you, thinking it's your thoughts, feelings, and it's not. So, you know, it's like, I think at some point everyone has an experience where being on the earth or being here is emotionally uncomfortable, emotionally painful. And when that happens, when we don't want to be here, we don't want our body, we don't like our body, we don't like the physical, then we literally are just, it's like this beacon of light that just says, I don't want this body, anybody else want it? You can have it, come on in. Okay, so you invite Lots and lots and lots and lots of people that are disincarnate, that do want to be here, that don't want to go into the light because they don't understand that they're eternal. So they hold on to this earth plane, and then they hold on to you, or us, all of us. So all of these factors are contributing to our experience. All the entities, all the thought forms, the implants, all these pieces are literally contributing to our dysfunction, where we can't just be our authentic self. So clearing that stuff is really vital. So coming back to the caretaking, if you don't clean up the energies that are interfering, if you don't face the unspoken, unfelt, buried feelings and emotions that you have been having with your primary caretakers, because it all starts, if we just handle just this lifetime, it all starts in the womb and then goes from there. So whatever you experienced, however you concluded, the beliefs around if your parents loved you, didn't love you, didn't want you, wanted you, all of that, if you don't unravel that, then your caretaking issues are not going to change. You can hope and you can pray and you can give it over to creation and do everything you can, but it won't change. You might be able to get a little bit better handle on it, but because you can feel it, it's physically in your body. The sensation is in the body. It becomes a physical sensation. When you think about the emotional stuff, or when you think about people that you're caretaking or caring for, you can feel the agitation the moment you think about wanting to help them or assist them or in any way change them. That's another piece about caretaking, is you want to change the person, because if they do what you want, or if they become how you want them to become, then they'll be better people. We all think that. So if you're thinking that only you think that, guess again. Every human being is having that same experience. So if everybody knows better than you, and if we all know better than everybody else, then who knows best for themselves? Obviously no one, right? So, the key is keep looking within, face yourself, go after what's inside of you. And that is why we do these clearings, is to get this stuff out of the way, that these energies, these feelings, these thoughts, these things that are not you, that are interfering, if we clear them out, then you are more of your own true divine light, your true self, okay? So today we're just going to be dealing with the caretaking, and as usual what we do is we also can call in other people. So if you have friends or family, it doesn't matter, even if you're listening to this recording or this video, a year from now, you can still do everything that I'm talking about, which means you got friends and family that you want to call in. All you have to do is think about them, hold them in your awareness, ask for their presence to be with you. And then if this is something that you are listening to later, you are going to be calling in my presence anyway, and you're going to call it in for them as well. See, when we're in the room and we call presence in, I'm seeing all these energies, sensing all these people, that everyone is calling in, and I can send my energy to them, because they're not necessarily knowing that we're calling them in, unless we've already made an agreement saying, hey, I'm going to call you in, or someone asks you to call them in. So they know that it's happening, but it doesn't really matter. So as we call them in, their presence will be here, and I will send my energy, my consciousness to them as well, and also being beside you. And that way, whatever the clearing is, they're getting the full effect of it. And they will be changed, which is really cool. Okay, so you're calling people in, and also lighting up the feeling is really, really important. So we're going to play with that a little bit before we get started, because I want to make sure that you're really getting this piece, that you really are holding that energy. And I know some of you know this already, and yet we're just going to do it again, because the more you really do this, the more you really get it, and also the more you go under certain feelings, the deeper the clearing is going to be. So on the caretaking, like if you think about someone that you harbor resentments with, or even have any kind of feeling or energy that where you feel yourself holding back, where you just can't really tell them or let them know how you're truly, 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 really, really feeling, okay? So we're going to play with that for just a moment, and then also the feeling that you have with that person, like when something does arise and maybe they're doing something that irritates you or whatever, but you're still on some level caretaking them, protecting them from your feelings. Okay, because in that there's a feeling, there's a fear of exposure, there's a fear of telling the truth.